as I opened my phone to check the state of the outside world, my ex-wife's face, accompanied by her intimate face-to-face photos with her new lover, appeared as soon as I scrolled through my social media feed. Without a care in the world, I took a comfortable shower. Suddenly, I realized the problem that made my hair stand on end. The power wasn't the only thing cut off by the blizzard. The water supply was too. The pipes were frozen, and the water tank was cracked, leaving us reliant on melting snow to quench our thirst. At this time, there was less than a day left until the disaster from my previous life struck. I quickly tried to find my father to find a solution. My father chuckled knowingly after listening to my grievances. It turned out he had already anticipated this problem and had arranged for a stainless steel water tank to be custom-made by a factory worker, uncle. Not only did it keep the water warm, but the material was also of good quality. Upon its arrival, I saw that it occupied almost half of the courtyard. With the amount of water stored, our family of 3 could use it for at least half a year. He also bought a large water purifier just in case the water became contaminated. After solving this major issue, I carefully recalled everything that happened in my previous life and thought about what else needed to be done. My parents suddenly thought of something. The corn in the field had not been harvested. They immediately contacted the harvester to harvest the corn early. This finally caught the attention of the people in the village, and they gathered to discuss. I see you're planting trees, but you're confused. It'll take at least a day before the corn can be harvested. If you harvest it early, it'll mold. Besides, the corn dealers won't want it if they see it's too wet. My parents laughed and said it was fine. I also kindly reminded the uncles that this year's weather didn't seem right, so it's better to harvest early and be safe. They sneered at me, saying, "What do you know? You've only farmed a few times." My parents paid no attention to it, but I felt a little uneasy as the disaster approached. The weather showed no signs of change. Since I could be reborn, would that disaster not happen again? If the disaster didn't happen as it did in my previous life, the harvest this season would be a significant loss. I expressed my concerns to them, but my parents didn't seem to take it seriously. If it didn't happen, then naturally, it's for the best. Buying peace of mind with a field of corn would also be worthwhile. The next day, the weather changed dramatically. After the first autumn rain, it was already a pleasant autumn day. Suddenly, the temperature rose sharply, reaching 30 degrees Celsius. People across the country were complaining about the intense heat. My heart sank deeper and deeper. Sure enough, it came. In my previous life, it was scorching hot for 2 days, and then, on the third afternoon, a strong wind blew, the temperature dropped suddenly, and then came the blizzard. I left a comment under relevant post saying that the weather was abnormal and suggested stocking up on supplies to prepare for unforeseen events. The result was a wave of ridicule. Are you here to sell supplies? Another fool who's been reading too many doomsday novels. I hoped that my brief comment would at least draw some attention. If someone listened to the advice, that would be best. My father was installing partitions between each floor to reduce space and enhance heating effects. My mother was still busy around the stove, steaming buns, steaming dumplings, making pancakes, and wrapping plenty of dumplings, ready to be cooked directly. Suddenly, the monitoring software on my phone reminded me that someone had arrived at the house I had prepared in advance. I checked and saw that my ex-wife and her lover had returned early, 1 day ahead of schedule compared to my previous life. Although I didn't know why they had changed their plans, I observed through the monitor that there was nothing unusual about them. After complaining about the damp, hot weather, they went to sleep. But what they didn't expect was that when they woke up, they would be greeted by a world-changing event. I looked at the heavy snow outside the window and felt relieved that everything was well arranged. I had spent all of the one savings in my hands, and with the tens of thousands of yuan my parents spent on supplies, it was enough to last for some time. Some people were cursing the damned weather online. Some were asking if there was any injustice somewhere, and some realized that something was wrong and began advocating for stocking up on supplies. Especially as evening approached, the snow showed no signs of stopping, and it felt thicker and thicker. Coming out of the bedroom, I wanted to see what we could have for dinner, but the living room was empty. I ran downstairs and found my mother, who couldn't stop looking out the door. "Mom, what's wrong? Your dad ... He hasn't come back yet. After lunch today, he saw the wind picking up, so he said he was going back to your grandfather's house to get something." "Mom, don't worry, I'll go find Dad now." In a blizzard, visibility was extremely low, and the snow on the ground made it difficult to walk even a step. At that moment, it was fortunate that I had thought ahead and put snow chains on the tires. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to come back until midnight. It's a good thing I had some dignity. My son and I were almost scared to death because of you. My dad wasn't annoyed either. He handed things down from the car. First were some agricultural tools, shovels, sickles, hammers, and an electric saw. These tools could not only shovel Snow but also be used for self-defense in critical moments. In the apocalypse, often people are more dangerous than the natural environment. Then there were several bags of persimmons, the crispy persimmons that you and your mother love to eat are from the tree in front of our old house. They are almost ripe, so I picked them. I don't know if it was because of the strong wind or what, but tears blurred my vision. At this time, a dog ran down from the car, and Dad said he brought it back because it looked pitiful. At night, the wind blew in through the door crack, making a whistling sound, which kept me from sleeping. At this time, I saw the light in the living room. Dad was holding thick plastic sheets, preparing to nail them to the windows. This would both prevent wind and keep us warm. Dad, how about the breathability of the one you're focusing on? Don't let us catch a disease from being too airtight. It seems I forgot to tell you that when we reinforced the house, I also installed a new ventilation system. No matter how sealed the windows are, the air will be fresh. Once again, I gave a thumbs up to my dad's foresight. Since there was nothing I needed to help with, I returned to my room. I picked up my phone, ready to surf the internet for a while, when I noticed a call coming in from Sunil. Where's the thick quilt at home? I'm almost freezing to death. The thick quilt, I bought it. We're divorced, so of course, I took it with me. You're arguing even over beddings. You're just a rural bumpkin who deserves only raggedy thing. I couldn't be bothered to listen to her, so I hung out the phone directly. Then I opened the monitor. I was so angry that she dared to hang up on me. And this air conditioner, is it broken? It's not heating up at all. All right, baby. Maybe the snow will stop tomorrow. We'll cuddle up and won't feel cold. Humph, you to just cuddle up nicely. Now we have a lot of supplies and the house is almost renovated, but I still feel it's not enough because I didn't live for a long time in my previous life, and I don't know how long this disaster will last. What I can do now is to try to live as long as possible. According to my memories from my previous life, it should stop snowing for a few days tomorrow, and then the real disaster will come. We need to continue stocking up on supplies these 2 days, complete the shelter renovation goals, and achieve the target for gathering supplies. The system has been activated. Congratulations to the host for opening the Doomsday warehouse system. Oh my, I also have a system now. Haha, the system is indeed a standard configuration for reincarnators. Based on the name of the system, it should give me a warehouse, right? Yes, this system will give the host an alternative space. Warehouse, other functions are temporarily locked. Unlocking other functions requires the host to survive for a sufficient number of days. System functions are unlocked based on the number of days survived. It seems that this disaster will last for a long time. Open the easy resource space. I'm thrilled. How much can such a big space hold? The problem of insufficient space is solved. What we need to do now is to stock up as much as possible. We lack money. We need to figure out a way to get some money. We'll discuss it with Dad and Mom tomorrow morning. The blizzard weather this time has passed, and the weather will continue to clear up. Dad's warmth now is only temporary. The real disaster will come in 2 days. I was afraid Dad wouldn't believe me, so I added, what I said is true. You have to believe me. Hearing this, Dad smiled and said, why wouldn't I believe you? You're my son. I'm your father. If I don't believe you, who will? I mentioned to Dad that we still need to buy things. And I also mentioned the mysterious warehouse, but I didn't mention the system, so we still need to buy things. Because I don't know when the disaster will end. The biggest problem now is that we don't have enough money. Silly son, we can go to the bank, said Dad immediately. We immediately drove to the bank. Of course, we came to apply for a loan, not to rob it. After getting the loan, we headed toward the supermarket. We planned to buy some more of the things we had bought before. After buying the items, we found a secluded place and threw all the food and supplies into the system's warehouse, leaving only a carload of goods at the back of the car. Don't ask why we didn't put everything into the space. The reason is that it feels weird to have the car come all the way here without carrying anything. This time, the reactions from netizens weren't as intense as I mentioned last time. There were also some voices of agreement, but the majority still didn't think it was a good idea. I opened the monitoring system and checked what my ex-wife and her group were up to. She was arguing with her boyfriend, and it seemed like nobody was taking orders for her delivery business. There was no one available for errands either. I gave you money. Go out and buy something to eat. Shang, look at my small figure. I'll be buried in the snow if I go out. What's wrong with you? A grown man going out to buy something. Do you want to send me, a weak woman, out to buy? Why do you always boss me around? I've had enough of this. If I starve to death, so be it. I won't go out there to buy anything. Even if I die, say that again, if you dare. After saying this, they started arguing again. After watching for a while, I exited the monitoring system. Soon, we arrived home. After getting off the car, Dad and I were busy unloading the goods. After unloading, Dad went to park the car, and I took the goods into the house. Wow, so much food. Mom, I want to eat some chicken. Are you planning to sell all these things? Mom, I looked closely and saw that it was Mr. Swan who lives next door to us. We call her Wang. I told you not to buy so much before, but you didn't. Listen, now that it stopped snowing, you see, you can sell all of it. I was about to speak, but she interrupted me. My son wants to eat your snacks. Since you have so many, give him some. I also want to eat something. As for why I said so much, do I need to explain? I opened the instant noodles in my hand and took out 2 cups. Why are you so stingy? Just give her a whole box with so many of them. Our neighbor has been shameless for so many years. Seeing that I didn't react, she just grabbed them without hesitation. And Wang, our neighbor for so many years. It's not good for you to grab them directly like this. Moreover, I bought these with my own money. I'll give them to you if I want to. What's the point of arguing with an adult like a child? I'm not her father, so why should I let her have everything? Then I wish you blessings as vast as the eastern sea, and a lifespan as short-lived as the daylily. A figure suddenly darted out. Who dares to harm my son? Oh, isn't this the Wang? I saw someone bullying my son, so I kicked over without thinking. Did I hurt you? You see, I didn't hold back at all. You must have done it on purpose. I'm older now, not in good health, and I have heart disease. Don't argue with me. Besides, there's an old saying. It's good to suffer a little. You bully my son. Give that box of instant noodles to Aunt Wang. Let Aunt Wang go back and replenish herself. Dad will go back and eat instant noodles. You harmless child. Isn't it more important that Mom hasn't eaten? Don't run away. Dad still has some tricks up his sleeve. That still has to be you. That's how you deal with these kinds of people. After a little incident, we moved the supplies into the house, putting most of the food into a space, leaving only the food in 3 freezers untouched. After a busy day, my mom made a lot of dumplings at night, took a shower, and went to bed early. The next morning, I was awakened by a noisy sound. I saw some relatives in the living room talking to my parents when I walked out of the room. Uncle, I heard that your family recently won the lottery. I heard from the neighbors that your family has been buying all kinds of food and renovating the house recently. Uncle, you also know that I have a son who's over a year old and a daughter who's just a year old. We're so poor, we can't even afford to eat. Uncle, can you lend me some money? And also, my grandpa, lend me some money. I'll buy a basketball for my son to practice with for 2.5 years, and then I'll pay you back. Cousin, my family has been renovating the house recently, and we're not very well off. Why don't you try borrowing some money or use Alipay? No, that's not possible. You have to pay back those things you borrow. Don't try to deceive me. All right, if you're here to borrow money, you can go back. Actually, we don't have any money either. Look, we borrowed this money. It's clearly stated on the loan documents. After all, we don't have any money. It's cold, and we ran all the way here for nothing. This weather is problematic. You'd better stock up on food just in case. The weather has cleared up. What could possibly happen? It seems like they're really crazy. I heard that Jikon's son and Susan got divorced recently. Could it be that their whole family has been affected? Thinking like this, watching their departing figures, I sighed softly. It's going to change tomorrow night. There's still time. I hope they'll listen to advice. Time flies, and the next evening, the weather suddenly changed dramatically, and then it started to snow heavily. Finally, everyone had the awareness to stock up, rushing into supermarkets to sweep up supplies. Meanwhile, I was inside the house, eating hot pot and watching TV dramas, observing the heavy snowfall outside. I checked the surveillance camera, and at that moment, Susan and her lover were wrapped in blankets, sitting on the sofa. There were leftover instant noodles on the coffee table. Darling, everyone is rushing to grab supplies. Let's hurry to the supermarket or we'll miss out on everything. Just as the 2 of them were about to leave, I received a message on WeChat. It turned out that someone had tagged everyone in the property group chat. I hadn't left yet. They were asking if anyone needed supplies. We were preparing to purchase some supplies. If anyone needed them, they could indicate so in the group and transfer a deposit via WeChat. The group chat was immediately filled with messages and red packet transfers. At this point, Susan also indicated her interest, and then she sent a large red packet. Brother, you must bring more for me, because my baby just turned 1.